the surviving pilot told what he saw in the Bermuda Triangle. Today, let's talk about the Bermuda Triangle and the Beechcraft Bonanza, a single-engine small plane. They were able to escape, and here's what they told us. And so, the plane took off from Andros Island in the Bahamas and flew to the coast of Florida. This was December 4, 1971. There were 2 people on board. About 2,000 ships and 200 planes had disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle during all that time. The captain's name was Bruce. He was quite an experienced pilot, and he had flown this flight many dozens of times. He was confident in his route. When the plane began to gain altitude at about 300 meters, he saw a black cloud. The cloud was not very big, and the man had to fly through it. At an altitude of 3,500 meters, Bruce saw another cloud, but it was much larger than the first. Bruce couldn't fly around it. The cloud was growing very fast, and he flew into it, and everything overboard immediately went dark, as if it was nighttime. The man realized that it was not a thunderstorm cloud, as there was no thunder or rain in it. The cloud emitted flashes of light. They appeared and disappeared. The man had been flying for half an hour, but the cloud was still there. He realized that it was similar to that first cloud. Soon the cloud began to deform and take on a cylindrical shape, where the man's plane was in the very middle. The cloud was so big that man thought he would never get out through it again. Suddenly he saw a light that was like a light at the end of the tunnel. With joy, the man exhaled, but the light began to narrow and separate. Eventually, Bruce flew out of the cloud, and it felt as if he was in weightlessness. All of the plane's instruments in the cloud went out, and the man couldn't understand where he was. There was fog all around him. He contacted ground control and asked to locate his location. The dispatcher looked at the radar. He didn't see Bruce's plane, but after a while it appeared and his location was in Miami airspace. The man was dumbfounded. This couldn't be, as it took about 90 minutes to get to Miami, and he had spent 45 minutes. There was no way that could have happened. When the man landed, he started counting time by the amount of fuel he spent, and it all came together. It turns out that Bruce just jumped halfway. The man thought long and hard about what happened to him and even wrote a book about it. He thinks it was all about the electrical fog. This anomaly could have been caused by the dark energy that is expanding our universe. This energy could have created a semblance of a black hole. The man was lucky to be able to get out. That's why he jumped halfway. But the dark energy, this is just a theory, and there is no proof. Unfortunately, there is no answer to this question to this day. Because of the strange clouds in that area, as low and high pressure zones collide there, large thunderstorm clouds appear. But this is not the worst case in the Bermuda Triangle. In 1945, 5 planes disappeared at once. The pilots of the Navy were conducting training flights led by an experienced captain. The official version is that the pilots flew too far. They lost their way and ran out of fuel. But it could not be. The flight was called Flight 19. In 1948, a passenger plane disappeared in the same area. The weather was clear. Scientists believe that the plane was thrown off course by a large wind current, but the weather at the time was clear. Years later, a plane was found in the water. It looked like it was missing, but nothing was found on board to confirm the similarities to the disappearance. What do you think about this? Mary Celeste of Aviation. That's what the press called the disappearance of the 5 Avenger bomber Link in 1945, which became the greatest mystery in the history of world aviation, soon forming the image of the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. It was to be a routine training flight for the crews and their experienced commander, Lieutenant Charles Taylor. Each plane was thoroughly inspected. All engines and instruments were in perfect order. But as Lieutenant Bomberling recalled, the sea was very rough. On the afternoon of December 5, 5 planes took off from Fort Lauderdale Air Force Base. The flight began as usual, but very soon the Link commander informed the dispatcher, "We have an emergency situation. Apparently, we're off course. We can't see the ground. Repeat, we can't see the ground. We don't know where we are now. We don't know where we are now. We don't know where west is. It's not working. Weird. Even the ocean doesn't look the same." Soon, Taylor was silent forever. Command dispatched a Mariner reconnaissance plane to search, but it too disappeared. A full-scale search operation was launched. More than 300 planes and ships combed every square of water and sky where the Avengers and Mariner might have been, but in vain. After 2 weeks of investigation, the Commission issued a 500-page report, listing 56 theories of what had happened. According to the official version, the planes of the 19th Link had been off course for more than 4 hours until they ran out of fuel, after which they made a forced landing on the water in complete darkness and sank instantly in the storm. But since there was no unequivocal answer, the press continued to speculate on it without even trying to dispel the veil of mystery surrounding what had happened. The story was becoming a myth, with all sorts of dramatic facts. The pilots allegedly panicked, and the weather turned from stormy to windless. In the same way, facts were invented in other cases where it was not possible to give an exhaustive explanation of what had happened. 70 years ago, a Douglas DC-3 passenger jet on a flight from Puerto Rico to the United States disappeared over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Florida. The aircraft has never been found, and the reasons for its disappearance have not yet been determined. The airliner incident plays a key role in the myth of the Bermuda Triangle, according to which ships and planes in the area allegedly die because of some anomalies. Research teams from different countries have repeatedly offered scientific explanations for this mystery, which does not prevent fans of science fiction stories to see mystical overtones in disasters that occurred in the West Atlantic. About the speculation and scientific facts surrounding the Bermuda phenomenon in the material of RT, on December 27, 1948, a Douglas DC-3 took off from San Juan International Airport, Puerto Rico with 29 passengers and 3 crew on board, and headed for Miami, United States. Meteorological conditions were good. The pilots were in regular contact with ground services. On December 28 at 4:13 a.m., Douglas reported that the plane was 50 miles south of Miami. This information was not heard in Miami, but it was received in New Orleans and relayed to the destination. The crew then tried to inform the plane of the change in wind direction, but was no longer able to establish communication with it. The aircraft disappeared. Also on the subject, exciting findings. Scientists find out why ships are disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle. 4 hours later, a search operation started in the coastal waters, but no traces of the missing plane were found. 2 unidentified bodies were found off the coast of Cuba a few days later, but whether they had anything to do with the missing Douglas was not reported. An investigation showed that the plane had been overhauled shortly before the incident and was airworthy. However, just before the disappearance, some problems arose. Due to insufficient battery power, the radio transmitter could not function normally. The landing gear lamp did not work either. Some speculated that the pilots may have misjudged their position before the last communication session and went off course, resulting in the plane crashing into the ocean when it ran out of fuel. However, the cause of the aircraft's disappearance has never been officially established. Public interest in the tragic incident began to fade. But in 1950, Associated Press correspondent Edward Van Winkle Jones published an article in which he systematized information about ship and aircraft disappearances in the Western Atlantic. The article referred to the region as the Devil's Sea. 14 years later, writer Vincent Gaddis called the stretch of ocean between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico the deadly Bermuda Triangle. Friends, if you want to add something or have other information, let's discuss in the comments. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new interesting videos, and give your like so that other viewers will see this video too. Like it, subscribe to our channel, comment. Many more interesting top films are waiting for you. Enjoy watching.